Sorry I'm not on camera for this video. I am actually on my lunch right now, but there is a bunch of news breaking today because Nintendo had their financial briefing, their financial meeting with investors, and the first video I want to make about all of this deals with sales. It is official, for starters, that the Nintendo Switch has now outsold the Nintendo Wii U as of the end of 2017. So all of these sales figures I'm about to give you are through December 31st, 2017. The Switch has sold 14.86 million units. That means, in less than a year, it has outsold the lifetime sales of Wii U, which stand at 13.56 million units. And if you're curious, the 3DS has sold 71.99 million units. Software sales for the Switch in less than a year have hit 52.57 million units, which is already about halfway through the Wii U's lifetime software sales. So that's very, very enticing, a very hot start for Wii U. But what's also really, really exciting is the sales of the games on Switch. Let me give you an idea here. Super Mario Odyssey released at the end of October, right? As of December 31st, 2017, it has sold 9.07 million units. Are you kidding me? It is well on its way to becoming the best-selling 3D Mario game of all time. This is nuts. Odyssey is probably easily going to crack 10 million, if not 11 or 12. This is insane. And you know what's even more insane? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold 7.33 million units. That's right, a Wii U port with a new battle mode has sold 7.33 million units and continues to be a top seller every single month. Now, Breath of the Wild, that good old launch game. On Switch, it has sold 6.7 million units. If you count the sales of Breath of the Wild on Wii U, it is now technically the second best-selling game of all time. The best-selling game right now of all time is currently Twilight Princess, if you count the sales of Wii and GameCube together. Now, if you throw the Wii U and Switch sales of Breath of the Wild together, it has sold 7.78 million units, which does beat out Ocarina of Time's 7.5 million. So, yes, Breath of the Wild, based on the pace it's currently on, could become the best-selling Zelda game to ever release. And I predicted this in an earlier video that, you know, Breath of the Wild could potentially move 10 million units. We'll see if it gets there. It's obviously not going to get there as fast as Odyssey. Mario is just a more popular IP in general, but that's awesome. Splatoon 2, for those that are wondering, has sold 4.91 million, well on its way to selling over 5 million in its second iteration, which is just absolutely beautiful. 1-2 Switch has sold 1.88 million. So, yeah, that's almost at 2 million for a launch game that a lot of people were kind of laughing at. That's pretty good. Here's what I actually love to see. ARMS has sold 1.61 million units as of the end of last year. That's actually really good. The last sales update was about 1.2, so it has sold 400,000 more units since then. That's really exciting. ARMS could potentially be one of those games that trails kind of, trickle along, and maybe it hits 2 million. And for a fighting game, that's actually really good numbers if you look at it compared to, say, Tekken and Street Fighter and such. And here is what I'm excited about. Congratulations. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has crossed the 1 million mark, selling 1.06 million units, which rounds out the million sellers on Switch from Nintendo. We obviously don't know about any third-party games and how they're performing because you have to get those reports from those companies. But that is wow. Wow. I mean, here's the crazy thing, too, is that all these games came out within the first year of the Switch, and they're all doing phenomenal. I mean, 1-2 Switch selling almost 2 million. Are you kidding me? You know, the Wii U selling almost 15 million by the end of 2017, not even a year out. Oh, man. I think Nintendo's well on their way to hitting their projections with Switch, even though Switch technically fell behind PlayStation 4 this past week in Japan, but that really shouldn't be a surprise. Monster Hunter World's released. It sold like 1.2 million for PlayStation 4, so obviously PlayStation 4 saw a sales bump from that, and the sales bump relative to the sales of Monster Hunter actually weren't that high. It bumped up to 100,000 units, which isn't, anything to write home about. Switch was still selling a solid 42 or 43,000 units. So, yeah, Switch is doing great. Hopefully they have a lot of games coming this year to follow up this phenomenal year one. I am excited. And obviously, I want to throw this at you guys. What impresses you most about all of these numbers? Is it the fact that Switch outsold Wii U in 2017 in less than a year lifetime to date? Is it the 52.57 million units? Is it, let me see, what other numbers we got? Is it the almost 10 million units for Odyssey? I knew Odyssey was selling well. I didn't know it was selling 10 million unit kind of well. Well, not really 10, it's at 9, but you know what I mean. Mario Kart 7, at 7, Breath of the Wild almost at 7 million just on Switch. I mean, it could potentially become the best-selling Zelda game of all time just on Switch, not even counting Wii U someday. Splatoon 2 selling better than the original Splatoon and continuing to see sales every single week, plus support and Splatfest and new items and stuff. I think Splatoon 2 is going to see some support for maybe even another couple of years. And Xenoblade Chronicles 2, congrats to the Xenoblade series, finally cracking 1 million in sales. And who knows, when that's going to slow down. It might only top out around 1.5 million if I had to guess. But that's still really good for Xenoblade. It's always been kind of this niche JRPG franchise. And, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 had its issues, but it still cracked 1 million in year one. That's just really, really good. And I'm very, very pleased. And if you're curious how these sales numbers compare to, say, the best-selling games from Wii U, technically, Mario Odyssey is a better selling game than every single game that ever released on Wii U. Mario Kart 8 is at the top at 8.4. Don't be surprised if it sells even more on Switch because it's already a little under 1 million out from that number. New Super Mario Bros. U at 5.7, New Super Mario 3D World at 5.75, and Smash Bros. At 5.32. Nintendo is well on their way to destroying Wii U's top-selling games. Top-selling games of 3DS are obviously significantly higher when you got Mario Kart 7 at 16.76, Pokemon X and Y, Pokemon Sun and Moon, Omega Ruby, blah, 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 blah. A bunch of those games selling awesome. And actually, if you're curious, one little sales update for 3DS is that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, as of the end of last year, has sold 7.17 million units. Again, Pokemon continues to sell over time. It's probably going to cross over 10 easily. Pretty exciting stuff overall. I'm just happy that everything is selling so well because this is gonna convince Nintendo that they are doing the right thing. As an example, we haven't really had a full dedicated 3D platforming Super Mario game in the style of Odyssey or whatever since Galaxy, and then before those two games, Sunshine and Mario 64, and here we have one about to cross the 10 million mark, which is just insane. I'm so happy with that. Obviously, Mario Kart continues to be balling, and Zelda bouncing back. Zelda hasn't seen sales like this since Twilight Princess back in 2006. I mean, think about how long ago that was. That's like 12. We're in 2018. That's 12 years ago. We haven't seen sales like this in 12 years. That's insane. I'm so happy for the Zelda series. I'm so happy they found a formula that they seem to enjoy making, because Eiji Aonuma recently said that this was his most enjoyable game to develop, which is exciting because not only is it selling really well, it feels like the people behind it actually really enjoyed making it. That's gonna bode well for future Zelda games, I hope. I'm just stoked. You guys let me know what you think about all of this down in the comments below, because I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around this. We're going to have to continue this conversation, I think, on our next episode of the Nintendo Prime Podcast, because I'm very curious to see what the panel of people think about these insane sales and how they compare. Anyways, folks, I am Nathaniel Rufflejans from Nintendo Prime, and if you like this video, you know what to do. And if you dislike the video, hit that dislike button. Subscribe for more content, and if you'd like to support us for as little as $1 a month, just head on over to patreon.com/Nintendo Prime. Patreon allows us to exist outside of the realm of Google ads, which we all know about the adpocalypses of the world, and how hard it is to make it on YouTube. But with your guys' support on Patreon, we are able to continue to do what we do. In fact, our recent review of Tiny Metal was specifically because of our supporters on Patreon. It was fully funded and paid for by our patrons. I can't thank them enough. Otherwise, folks, you know what? I will catch you in the next one.